So I thought I would talk about today whether or not Substack is a side hustle. This is from originally when I first decided to start Sparkle on Substack. It was because I wrote a post on my first publication on Creatively Conscious, which is my newsletter for business owners. And the title of the post was, "Is Substack a side hustle?" And people were really interested. They were really interested in my opinions on it all, the research that I'd done, the thought process around, is that what we're doing here? Like, are we side hustling? Do we want this to be more? And so I thought I would come on. Obviously, it's, 2 years down the line now, but I thought I would come on and chat to you guys about it because last week when I did the very exposing live to let you guys know that I don't want 1,001 paid subscribers this year, there was loads of brilliant chat going on in that thread. But what I've really realised for a lot of you is that you're really curious about what that side hustle takes in terms of energy and where it might go long term. So I thought I would just talk about Substack as a side hustle, giving yourself that permission slip to build up what you want it to be over time. If you've got any questions about how long you think that should take, or the energy that you should give that, what you should actually do in relation to the rest of the work that you're doing, anything ethically around monetizing your creativity or monetizing your words, and also that kind of the barrier and the block around monetizing your words. If you want people to read your words and these paid subscribers are small, how do you navigate all of that? So I'm here for your questions. Any questions you've got, please ask them, and I'm going to check on the laptop if you have any, and then just answer them. I'm here for half an hour, so if there's anything that you do want to ask, I'm going to be here, and I can see anything that you might want to type. So yeah, topic wise, it's just really around, do you want to monetize your words, your art? If you do, is it a side hustle? Is it part of a bigger business ecosystem and a bigger content creation ecosystem? How is it all feeling and fitting? Is this the right platform? All of that sort of stuff. So let me know. Otherwise, I'll just riff and I'll just tell you a bit more about my journey. I mean, lots of you do know already my journey with Substack, and I'm always happy to go over it. But I also plug into lots of different types of people. So creative expressionists, artists, writers, best-selling authors who aren't bestsellers yet, best-selling Substackers, business owners. So I have worked with so many people now. I really like to kind of, put all of that in one pot and just turn up to these lives and be like, what do you want to ask me? What is interesting to you? What is helpful to you in terms of your journey? I'd really love to know how things are feeling on Substack right now, if it feels easy to monetize, if it feels tricky, if you're questioning whether you should turn on paid, if you're wondering how much you can earn, any of that stuff, I'm here for you. And I'm going on with my lovely virtual assistant at 2:00, so I'm going to leave just before 2. Okay, well, there's no questions yet, so I'll just babble on then. Always a joy. I do actually prefer it when you guys ask questions. Like, I just respond better to that, but I can babble on. I can tell you some of the story around how I turned my paid newsletter that was definitely an income stream, a small income stream, into a full-blown membership and really significant part of my business. I can definitely talk about that, and I will talk about that. The majority of people that I see come to Substack have the curiosity around turning on paid subscriptions, and they also have a lot of self-limiting beliefs around, will people pay? And also, well, there are these other big names on the platform, there are these other voices on the platform. So I encourage a lot of experimentation, to start with, because once you turn on your paid subscriptions, although you can pause them, you are kind of committing to yourself and to the people that are paying. Yes, I'm going to turn up and I'm going to do this. And it doesn't have to be a time for money thing. Like, you don't have to say to people, okay, I'm going to publish for paid every single Sunday of my life for the rest of my life. You don't have to do that at all. But I do think there is an energetic commitment between the people that pay and then that exchange between us. And so that can leave us, in self-sabotage. It can leave us burning out. It can leave us questioning, if we don't hear from them. Like, the amount of times when people have just got a handful of paid subscribers and like, I don't hear from them. Nobody likes anything. Nobody comments. They're paying. Do they know they're paying? Should I email them and tell them and remind them that they're paying? So there's just a lot to work through. And that's why I think Substack is an amazing side hustle, because you've got time to learn and grow. Like if you make a commitment here, you've got time and time to learn and grow with it all. That said, it definitely wasn't my first side hustle. It wasn't my first digital income stream. My first digital income stream was an ebook that I wrote and published in the pandemic, so like 2020. And it was based off a one-to-one methodology that I'd been running for quite a few years. And I wanted to try and find a way to condense all of that knowledge in an ebook and workbook for people. I was just really curious about how, figuring out how I would deliver it. Like it was actually a PDF. Like I just made it in a Word document. An artist friend of mine designed the front cover. I paid her like $80 to do that for me. It was really beautiful. And then I can't even remember how I sold it. I think I must have sold it through my WordPress website. Yeah, I did. I sold it through my WordPress website. Managed to figure out, how people could automatically download it. Like we've just moved on so much, haven't we? Like there's so much that's possible. But it was really interesting to me. It was interesting to me to do it as a creative project, to put it out there, to market it, all of that gorgeous stuff. And then also to sit with the feelings that I just mentioned, like, are people reading it? Like, are they okay? Like, does it make sense? Because at the end of the day, once something is created, it doesn't belong to you anymore, does it? Like we've put it out into the ether, and it belongs to the readers, the individual readers. So I do think it is really interesting to think about Substack in that way, to kind of think, okay, if someone is crossing a paywall, what can I give them? Like, what is there for them? Is there an archive? Is there an ebook? Is there a class? Like, what is there? Because I think, the original format for Substack was, a bunch of free articles and a bunch of paid articles, and you just keep going and keep going and going until the end, right? So I do think it is really interesting to, flip that on its head a bit and think about it differently. Okay, questions. Good. Allegra's here. Hi, Allegra. Every time I look at my subscriber dashboard at the moment, free and paid subscribers have gone down. I'm questioning whether Substack is a sustainable business in itself, or whether it's better to have it as a marketing channel to direct people elsewhere. So my advice for business owners is to see it as a really low ticket lead magnet. So I think the mistake people get into in their heads, especially with smaller audiences, so like smaller, I would say like anything under 10,000, right? So like when you're in the under 10,000 space, so you've got your subscribers, maybe you've got 1,000, maybe you've got 2,000, maybe you've got 500, it doesn't really matter, but just smaller. And you're looking at, okay, I want to have an intimate space, have a monetized space with these people. There's always going to be churn. So there's always going to be people that want that and then decide, okay, like I've had enough of this now. I might come back in the future. I'll go and check out something else. So those numbers, unless we keep them going up, are always going to go down because of churn, right? So churn is just normal, just natural, just part of it. You've not done anything wrong. Sometimes we're just not a good fit for people, and that's fine. So there's always going to be that. But I think, when you've got other things that you're selling and you do the maths on that. So you do the maths, for example, in terms of like the time for energy piece. So you do a class, it's a one-off class. People sign up to it. It's £20, £30, £50. It doesn't matter. People sign up to it, they come live, and then you sell the replay, right? So that energy is all tied off. It's all finished. Whereas with your Substack, the energy is never finished, because there's always someone that can drop you a DM. There's always someone that can tag you. There's always something else that you said that you're going to do in the future. So within a sustainable business model, you have to look at, okay, how does the Substack fit the business model and not the other way around? And I do think that is massively important. Like I wanted Sparkle on Substack to be a massive membership hub, because I want my members to feel really held by other people on the same journey. Like that was really the motivation. So it wasn't like a money thing. And obviously it's great to see the money go up. But in terms of the subscribers and those going down, like that does happen. And so I have to make sure that I'm rejuvenating my current free audience. And, as soon as people come, they're in that space of nurture, they get the welcome email. There's something coming up for them that week. Usually, do publish a couple of times a week. So people are constantly being nurtured. And then the people who want to stay know that, Claire's published something, but I don't necessarily need to read it. Like I can go into the archives, or I'll wait for the call, or I'll ask a question in chat. So it's designed to be able to hold people who are brand new to my space, people that have been there a little while and are beginning, and then the creative expressionists and the business owners that have been there a while and they've built up their Substack to where they want it to be. So when I first started it, I was like, okay, it's probably around about an 8-month journey for people. But then Substack rolled out a whole load of new features. The platform diversified and changed. And now there are just a real mix of people who are in there and who have been in there for like the entire time that want to stay because it feels a really nourishing space for them and it helps motivate them. And then I'm doing all the research and the growth experiments and not them. And I can be like, this is what's working for me. This is what worked for my clients' launch, like all that gorgeous stuff. So in a nutshell, Allegra, I think it is about the mapping out the wider business ecosystem and the content creation ecosystem separately and then seeing what feeds each other. You know, people can spend hundreds of hours on Instagram Reels that then feed a free lead magnet off platform and then feed a nurture sequence that then feeds an online course. There are so many ways with this. And I think what we get with Substack is the beautiful intimacy where we do feel like we get to know people. We can read their work, they can read ours, we can have chats in notes, we can have chats in chat. So there is a depth of connection on Substack that just isn't available anywhere else. And it's a really beautiful thing. That said, you don't want to be plugging into something that is making you feel down or sad. So the metric I focus on, and I talked about this last time, is gross annualized revenue on the Substack dashboard. But more than that, and much deeper than that, the Stripe percentage increase of income. So if you're looking at it going, is this working for me? You don't really want to look at those paid subscriber numbers because they just do drive you a bit batty, because every 30 days, you know, there's a new tally on that. So it's really difficult. And you can get into the data, you know, you can download your data, monthly and annual subscribers. You can have a look at yourself. You can feed it to ChatGPT and ask it to have a look and stuff. There's loads that it can tell you. So if you're feeling a certain way and you do that, you know, it might say, oh, your average monthly subscriber retention is 4 months or 5 months or 2 months or 1 month. You know, you get all of that data and then you can feel a different way in response to it rather than looking at the grey dashboard. So I hope that helps. I'll see if there are other questions. Ashley saying, always know I have a bad habit of being self-critiquing myself. Yeah, I think, you know, that we are in a relationship with the platform, but the platform, you know, it's not our parent, it's just a platform. Like, we do have to be a bit neutral about the platform and the people that manage the platform and all that stuff. And then the real relationship is with our subscribers, right? It's with the people that are giving us their attention in their email inbox. They're giving us their money if they're paying. They are getting to know us like we're in a relationship with them, right? So unless, you know, you've got guru status, which some people, you know, they do want to be, you know, either that's a boundaries thing or they, you know, they've done a lot of work online and they do want to be a bit untouchable. We're really, you know, all having relationships with each other. We're all colleagues. We all support each other. We all respect each other, all that gorgeous stuff. So that can be really fulfilling, you know, to reframe it that way around. Ashley's saying, I feel bad asking for monetization. Yeah, so there's loads of money blocks that will come up around monetizing anything like it, you know. But at the end of the day, if you turn on paid subscriptions, you have a business. You need to do a tax return. You need to take care of your sales taxes and your VAT and all of that other stuff. Like, it's a business, right? So it's not you. So separating you out and your like beautiful life and beautiful creativity and internal essence, like everything is separate to the way that you set up your business. And I've made this mistake. This is why I've made like so many mistakes around this. Not mistakes, but in my journey, you know, I've given myself a really hard time around the separation. And now I don't. Like, I have a separate business. It's called Creatively Conscious. It's separate. So now the business takes care of me as a person. And that's a massive reframe. And it might sound a bit bold to say, okay, like we're doing this from day one, but it's a mindset piece, right? Because the business is going to take care of you. Like, if you need some new stationery, the business is going to buy that for you. If you need to like pay for Lucy Werner's PR membership, like the business is going to do that for you. Like, it's not you giving over that income and that money, and then you're taking care of the business is taking you, and it just flips everything on its head. And the real breakthrough on this for me was around when I had a mentoring session with Beth Kempton, who is a really savvy business owner and a really beautiful human. And I think that Beth has a lot to teach around that side of thing. Like, have a look at her courses and stuff like that. But she's amazing. And there was a real breakthrough for me on that. And then all the mindset shifts that I've been able to work on since I started my business in 2017. So I've been freelance since 2008, but I never saw myself as a business. And then in 2017, I started the work to see myself as a business and try and separate myself out. But I was still stuck like glue until probably last year. Like, everything was quite messy behind the scenes. And now I feel like I have, and I'm working towards working with an ideal team that supports the business and the business supports me. So I never expect the team to support me as the individual. The team supports the business supports me. So hopefully that's an interesting reframe for you. Julie is saying, I have a suspicion that a chunk of my recent subscribers are spam accounts. Oof. Emails are a name followed by numbers, usually show Nigeria as a country, don't have a profile, and never read anything according to the stats. 4 had the same name. Is anyone else noticing this? So I think what's going on, there is a bit of this. And then, so there's 2 reasons I think this is going on. So one of them is that there are spam things. Like, if anyone remembers, like Horsey Emma, she came on and she did a whole load of damage one weekend. It was all quite funny in the end, but it was a bit like, whoa, what's happening? So people will like mimic Substack accounts, like create a whole new skin that looks like yours and then like pretend to be you. So there's all of that going on. There are people buying Substack subscribers to inflate their numbers. That happens the world over. It's on social media. You know, if you go into somebody's social media and they've all of a sudden got another like 20k followers or whatever, a lot of them, it'll be really obvious that those followers have been brought in. So I think some of that's going on as well. I don't hugely check what's going on with my subscriber list. I'll give it a quick scan like once a month, but I do know that over 1,000 emails aren't being delivered. So I do wonder if over time, maybe those are emails of like people, like spammy people. I don't know. So I probably should have a look at that. I have mentioned it to Substack. I mentioned it in the bestsellers chat last night, and they said to take them out. So they said to send them that group of people who aren't having it delivered, which I don't know how I'd do that. I need to pick up with them about this. But they were basically saying, and then if they don't respond, you just delete them. That feels quite difficult, you know, because it just would feel quite difficult to delete that. I mean, it doesn't mean anything, does it? But it is interesting. Good, okay. So Dawn is saying, I started out with Patreon Patrol 3 months ago. My content is not focused and I am not asking people to pay. I'm still learning. Turn on paid soon. Yeah. So the beautiful thing about Substack is we can just learn, experiment, have a beautiful relationship with our own words and writing and see how that all feels before we then monetize. Like, monetization is a massive step, guys. Like, the advice from Substack used to always be turn on paid from the start and then you'll launch it as one thing. So you're not just saying, oh, like I've started a new blog or I've started a new newsletter. You're like, I've started a Substack, it's monetized, you can pay for it. But because there's a lot of confusion about what that means, and also, you know, it's a bit like, run before you can walk. You know, it can be hard on our nervous systems to feel like, oh, we've done it now. And actually, I am much more of a fan of, especially if you don't own a business. I think if you own a business, it's different. But if you don't own a business, you want to give yourself a bit of space and time, you know, to enjoy reading, to enjoy having a nice time on Substack, and to really have that relationship with what that long form voice is. If it's a written voice, but it also could be, you know, audio, podcasting, video as well. So I think just enjoy it is my advice. So Ashley says, I'm an old school German style upbringing and we were taught not to market. It's like begging for money. Yeah, so I think Denise Duffield Thomas has a really good line on this, and it is, I serve, I deserve. So you are in service, right? So 5 reasons people pay for Substacks. I went through this last week. It is to feel educated, to feel inspired, to feel something, to feel calm and soothed. I've forgotten the last one. To feel part of something. So those are the 5 reasons. Sparkle on Substack covers all of those things in one publication. You don't have to do that, but those are the motivations for people paying. And we also have our own motivations for paying. So I would pay to be in something that I thought was going to be helpful to me within my business. I would pay for something that is going to soothe my nervous system and help me feel calm. I would pay for something that was going to give me more skills. I would pay for something that gave me that sense of community. So I think, you know, you can just have a look at it through the lens of what do you pay for, you know, online. And the world has changed monumentally. Like if my granddad was still alive and I tried to explain to him what I was doing, he had Facebook and stuff, but I think he would be mind blown. We only lost him a few years ago, like 2019. So I, I do feel like so much has happened, and those old school belief sets are old, and we are living in a new paradigm and working in a new paradigm and supporting each other as colleagues in a new paradigm. So we're figuring it out as we go along. I just think it's a really interesting time to be creating, and our nervous systems sometimes try and keep us safe and try and ask us about what we're doing, and that's fine. We've got to work with them, haven't we? Yeah. Okay. So, Susan, turn your DMs to paid only. I tell this to everyone, like you will not miss out by turning your DMs to paid only. You'll just cut out the noise. When your DMs are set to paid only, what happens is if you want to arrange something with someone, say you've met someone on Notes and you want to do a collab, you just message them, or you say, "What's your email?" It's easy. We didn't used to have DMs. You definitely don't want all that energy in your DMs. It's not nice. Yeah, exactly. Good stuff. Okay, well, I'm going to go in a second and meet with Heather. Do you guys have any other questions around how you are building up the picture of what you want your Substack to be, monetization, turning on paid, anything else before I go? I'll wait a second and see if anything comes in. It's hard to know how many people stay because obviously the numbers of people that are on live, it's cumulative, right? So like if I jump on someone's live and then leave, I still stay there as a number. And I think Substack do this to help us like feel like people are watching and like keep us on. So the numbers go up and up and up. So if this was an hour today and not half an hour, if I'd emailed people as well, and if I did the like notice of going live, then the numbers would be higher to start and then they would keep growing. Little tip there. So Dawn's saying, what about buy me a coffee? How do you feel about that? I think it's just that thing of like, I don't do it because I feel like I have the low ticket stuff. Like, I feel like, it's beautiful in terms of reciprocity. Like, if you've supported someone and helped someone and they want to send you a coffee, like, I do like it as a concept. But I think for me, I just want them to pay for the things like the business again. The business doesn't need anyone to buy a coffee. I think that's nice, but I don't need that either because the business buys me the coffees. Do you know what I mean? So it's just how you see it really. And I think, the people that have asked about it, me and Seth Seth at Social Media Escape Club actually did a live about the buy me a coffee button. And I do think it can help us feel safer asking for money. So if you are at the very start of your entrepreneurial journey and you want to turn on paid subscriptions, but you're not quite ready, could be a bit of a bridge for that. Could be. So Charlie's saying, I just can't seem to get over that hump of getting my first paid sub. I'm wondering, Charlie, if you did the growth to bestseller challenge that I did, because within that framework, it really helped everybody to get to that place of, okay, like this is what I'm selling and this is how to upscale and get more people buying the thing that I'm selling. So that would be great for you to look at if you weren't in there. And sorry, I can't remember everybody that was in. But the main thing is a clear offer. So when people feel really seen and heard and nurtured and safe and know what we're about, they'll be more ready to pay. But if they're not clear what we're offering, if we're saying, yeah, just support me if you want, they might or they might not, whereas if we're saying, okay, like you get X, Y, and Z, you get the archive, you get to come to a seasonal planning session, you get to ask me questions, like you get paywalled posts, like you just have to be really clear what it is. And then usually, especially now, you've got to give them some sort of reason to want to pay like in that window. So when I work with people on their launches, there's usually a time limited offer. If there's not a time limited offer, some people will be like, oh yeah, sure, fine, yeah, I might. And then they forget. Whereas if there's a time limited offer, people are like, I better do that now. I better do that now or I'll miss my chance. So whether that's a cheaper price point or whether they get a bonus, whether there's some sort of competition element, you can choose. But I just think in terms of sales psychology, there will always be the people that need the time limited offer to get them over the line, because it's like, yeah, I could, but I need more information. Or yeah, I could, but I'll do it tomorrow. Or yeah, I could, but I'll wait and see. Or yeah, I could, but I'm busy this week. So there's all of those things that come into play. And, you've only got to look at your own buyer behavior. Like sometimes, like I don't have my cards linked to my phone. So I never purchase anything on my phone. Partly I did that because I noticed I was a bit impulsive, so in the bedtime routine, if I was like scrolling Instagram and I just saw something really cute that would take me out of the horrors of the bedtime routine and like being like locked upstairs till 10 o'clock at night with my neurodivergent kids, I was like, oh, buy that. So for me, it was like about reframing, like, no, I don't need the impulse. And a lot of people are impulsive and have their cards on their phone and stuff like that. But I do think there is that piece, isn't there, of understanding our own buying behavior and then asking ourselves, would I buy this? Like, do I think this is a good thing? Does me from 5 years ago think this is a good thing? Does me from 1 year ago think this is a good thing? So getting to know the people that are there and understanding what they want and how they want to go deeper and how they want to feel more held can really help with that stuff. Um, okay, good. Uh, Beautiful. Okay, well, I'm going to post this replay with my live replay. So they're all free and open access. If you want to watch last week's, it was why I don't want to get to 1,001 paid subscribers this year. And I was very open and honest about the entrepreneurial journey. Substack has been incredible for me. I have had such a beautiful time discovering friends, colleagues, peers on this platform. I've made more money than I ever thought was possible. And I've gone through all of those shifts, right? Like I've gone through all of those mindset shifts and I've gone through all of those business shifts. Like I want to share that openly and honestly with you, because I feel like when we learn from people that have been doing it a long time, that's great, but they've been doing it a long time. So there's that piece where I really want to be open and honest with you about the mess, the mess of it all, and then how it feels to do it now, like here and now, right? So as a 43-year-old mum of two, like this is how it feels. And this is how I'm able to kind of share and help you understand as I have moved through the blocks and have this really solid business structure that I do now. It wasn't always the case. 3 years ago when I came to Substack, I turned on paid subscriptions because I was open to receiving money for my art. Like that was the shift, right? I'd already made that shift before I came to the platform. If you are scared by that or not there yet, that's fine. Like you can create your art and have a beautiful time in community. So yeah, I hope that was useful. Like I said, I'll post it to my lives. There's lots more there. There's some really juicy ones. I always try and be as open and honest as I can. It is a vulnerable space for me to show up on a Substack Live because sometimes there are a few trolls. But you've all been lovely. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.